I would say you want to make it a mission in your life to collect as many assets as you can, because I feel like, uh, well, in just in any industry or any economic system, there's only three ways to make money. One of those is earned income, a job. That can be 1099, W-2, it doesn't matter, just earned income. The second way is through government transfers, which is like getting basically gifts from the government. This is SS4, retire, your Social Security, Section 8, that kind of things. And maybe someday soon UBI, who knows? Some version of that probably is coming down the pike. And then number three is owning assets and getting the dividends from those assets.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Pros Podcast, the show where we connect you with the industry's top minds and strategies to build your portfolio. I'm your host, Scott Bursey, and today we're getting back to the essentials, the foundation of building lasting wealth through property. Joining me today is Paul Thompson, the founder of Real Estate 101. Paul's mission is to simply simplify the complex investment concepts and make real estate accessible to everyone, from their first-time investor to the seasoned pro, for a refresh. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, it is awesome to have you here. And Paul, if you could introduce yourself, let us know how your career began, perhaps, and what you're up to here recently.
Yeah, so I took real estate kind of late in life. I was a engineer first, so I got an engineering degree and went off into the world and was a corporate drone for 17 years. And about 15 years into that process, I realized that, I'd been climbing the corporate ladder, and maybe my ladder had been against the wrong wall all along. And I really always dreamed and fantasized about one day going out and doing my own thing, but I just never did it. And I kind of had this wake-up call moment where I thought, I'm vulnerable to the vagaries of the corporate world, and it wasn't a matter of if, but when I was going to be laid off. It's just the kind of the nature of the beast. We were in an industry that was acquiring each other constantly, and even if you're the acquiring party, the corporate politics sometimes lands where you're somehow out. You're found redundant or unnecessary, or basically what it turns out I was making too much money. And they're like, oh, we can have somebody else do this same job for less, so we don't need this guy anymore. And so the cold equations of corporate America were going to hit me sooner or later, and I kind of knew that was coming. So I wanted a different way to make a living, and I looked at a lot of different options, and real estate just seemed like the final frontier for the average person to really be able to make meaningful wealth without having to come up with some new clever business idea. I didn't have a new business idea in my head. Like I wasn't the kid growing up that was selling candy. Like I was the one buying the candy, right? And so I came into entrepreneurship much later in life. And so real estate just became a kind of a natural way, because when it boils down to it, the business is very simple. It's not that hard to understand. all you're doing is renting rectangles, and there's a lot of it out there, and you can use all the benefits of real estate to get into these properties. And so I was 37 years old, and it was the year 2015, and I bought my first rental property. And that was kind of like my gateway drug. When I got that first check for like $600 or whatever it was a very small amount. I thought, oh, okay, I just made money while I sleep. So how can I do this some more? And so the rest of the 10, 11 years since then, I've been figuring out how to do that more and more.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
That is awesome. And making money while you sleep is the goal. Awesome. So moving slightly toward operations, Paul, since tenant quality dictates cash flow, what is one non-negotiable step investors should take in their screening process, would you say?
One non-negotiable that I learned the hard way, which is not something you hear people here talk about a lot, is you want to see if they're a litigious person or not. So I have had some very expensive lessons. Probably the most expensive lesson I've had so far is getting involved with a tenant, a resident of a property, who had a game plan. And she and her husband were litigious, and they would buy the property on like a lease option from you, kind of like owner financing, really, land contract. And they would pay for a little while, and then they would sue you, and they would like just make up stuff that you had done wrong, and just make up stories about how like you were not doing something right. And I live in Arkansas. And the law in Arkansas is that if you're an individual, you can represent yourself. If you're an LLC and you're not an attorney, you cannot represent yourself. So I had to pay an attorney to defend myself. They did not have to pay anybody to sue me. And so they could draw this thing out as long as they wanted to. And I would just keep clicking up legal fees. And I finally ended up having to settle. And I can't even say exactly the amount I had to settle per our settlement agreement. But I found out later that this was a pattern that she did. And I looked up that if she had a lawsuit in the county I was in, but I didn't check for the entire state, which you can do just a different drop down in the same Core Connect service. I just didn't know to do that. Had I done that, I would have seen that she had done this in several counties prior. And so she's just hopping around playing this game of basically living for free and then suing people, claiming that they did something wrong when in fact they didn't.
That is, that can be frustrating. And what was the way that you rebounded from that experience?
Well, the lesson learned was to always check this when you're doing business with somebody. Make sure that they're not litigious. This is a very easy search to do to see if somebody has sued before, and basically doing a background check, and not just like, oh, I say I'm going to do a background check, but no, like actually paying for background checks and doing a full search in the state and perhaps even the country of if they've been involved in any sort of lawsuits. And it does take a little bit of effort to go through all the different places to search, but it can, I won't say ruin your life, but it can sure make your life miserable for a while.
Not taking shortcuts. That's the nugget that I'm getting from that. Absolutely.
Yep.
Oh, interested to know, for our listeners trying to understand the financing side, what is 101, the 101 concept about debt or leverage that every beginner must process?
Well, the biggest risk that you're taking as a real estate investor is the debt that you take on. It's not the tenants, like the story I just talked about. It's not the other, challenges you might hear about, which they exist as well. But the biggest risk, the most likely source of failure is going to be the debt that you take on. And so going into any sort of deal, understanding that the debt that you're taking on, and what the way it's structured. And so we really try to avoid using banks whenever we can now. And not that banks are bad, but banks are there to protect themselves, not you. And all the paperwork is written by a team of lawyers in such a way that they're going to be protected over you, period. Especially when you go into commercial lending, like what I do. We're into 5+ units. We're getting commercial loans. Commercial loans are often what they call demand loans, meaning that the bank can call the note on you for any reason, even if you're paying, which happened to a lot of people in 2008, happened to people like back in the 1980s when the tax laws changed. And they just pull the rug out from underneath you. And like, you have no recourse. Like they have all the recourse and you have none. And so being aware of that risk when you go into it is something you want to keep be aware of, and when possible, avoid that risk by doing loans with sellers, what we call seller financing, so that you can negotiate with a human, set up a win-win scenario such that one party doesn't have a disproportionate amount of power over the other and can just crucify the next person when they so choose.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
That's a really good explanation of the debt side of the equation for a lot of people. I think that's going to resonate. I completely agree. It's not about getting rich overnight, Paul. For those just starting out with limited capital, what's a practical entry-level strategy you often recommend?
Well, if you're very new to the business, you want to keep your job, which is, I often teach how to get out of your job, but you want to use that income as long as you can, because it does make you bankable, it does make you credible, and it gives you the ability to pay your bills. It's really hard to get into an environment where you're going to be thriving when you can barely survive the month to month covering the bills. So you want to have a foundation, a good financial, sturdy foundation before you take some of these calculated risks with real estate, because it costs money to own property. And when you own property and you don't have any cash, you can get exposed very quickly. And even to like when you feel like you're playing the game correctly, like bad things can happen to good people. And you can get in a situation where you really don't have the flexibility that you need to be able to solve problems with the cash you have. And so I really want to tell people to think about how to be in the business where they're earning an income, but they're not yet owning the property and they're learning the business. So you kind of learn to earn. So this can be things like wholesaling. It can be a real estate agent. It can be a property manager. It can be a real estate broker. It can be a mortgage broker. And these are all businesses and services that are kind of tangential to the actual owning of real estate itself. And it gets you exposure and credibility in the marketplace while you start to understand what's happening. And then you can earn the income that you need, have the solid foundation of both time, knowledge, and money, and then you can go out and buy properties. And I really believe very strongly we should all be going out there and buying and investing in assets, but it's hard to do that when you don't have any cash.
That's some good advice. House hacking is such a powerful tool. Once an investor has their first property, what are the top 2 common mistakes you see them make when they try to scale up their portfolio?
um, there's like 2 sides of this equation. Like this is like kind of a bimodal deployment here. So on one side, people say they want to scale and then they don't ever do it. They sit around kind of in their safety and comfort zone and never actually take the necessary action to actually go out there and do the business. On the extreme other side of this bimodal equation here is people who take on way too much risk too quickly. And I would say I very much fell in that category. Like I wanted to scale and I got out over my skis. And it's very easy to do that because you just go around, kind of like you go around the Monopoly board and you just buy up everything you land on and you run out of cash. And then you get a bad chance card and something happens to you and then you got to pay a bill you can't afford. Like in my case, it was a lawsuit that, I didn't cause it, but I'm still responsible for it. And so you have to deal with these responsibilities and you want to be in a position of strength. So you don't ever want to over leverage yourself to where you're leveraging yourself out of a position of strength.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that. And that's some more excellent advice. Systems and moderate budgeting. Before we wrap up, Paul, if you could give our listeners just one piece of immediate homework to improve their real estate knowledge, what would it be?
So you're looking to improve your real estate knowledge. Boy, I tell you, become a part of a community that's associated with whatever your affinity is. So if you're in Airbnb or you're in rentals or you're in flips, I don't care. Pick a discipline and focus on that discipline and surround yourself with like ballers in that discipline. Like, right, you want to be in the room where you're the dumbest person in the room, and you want, if you ever feel like, yeah, I've made it, go find one of these rooms, you're gonna realize that you haven't made it yet. And that little bit of discomfort allows you to stretch yourself and realize, oh, okay, there's other levels to this game that I need to now figure out how to get there.
Excellent views there as well. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience today?
I would say you want to make it a mission in your life to collect as many assets as you can, because I feel like, and just in any industry or any economic system, there's only three ways to make money. One of those is earned income, a job. That can be 1099, W-2, it doesn't matter, just earned income. The second way is through government transfers, which is like getting basically gifts from the government. This is SS4, retire, your Social Security, Section 8, that kind of things. And maybe someday soon UBI, who knows? Some version of that probably is coming down the pike. And then number three is owning assets and getting the dividends from those assets. I want to be in a world where I own the assets and I'm waiting for the government and society to figure out what's happening with job and transfers, because that's changing soon, but we don't know exactly how. I hope they figure it out, but I'm not real confident that they will. It's going to be the transition is going to be very painful for a lot of people. And I don't want to be in that position where I'm waiting for them to figure that out. I want to own the assets that I'm getting paid for while that's getting figured out.
On that note, the world of AI, how is that contributing to your business?
In our business, we actively use AI to help source deals and analyze data and build tools internally. Like, we are not in a place now where we really are software developers, but we build our own software, which is crazy to think. I don't really go out and buy software that much anymore. I go out and build software with Claude Code. Like, if I want something to happen inside my business now, me, my marketing team, my assistants, we are actively using Claude Code to build our own tools and automation systems and this like little agents that go out and do the things that so we're being our work is being compounded by the power of AI and automation. And we've actually lowered our cost because we now canceled some of our subscriptions because we don't need that software anymore because we just went and replicated ourselves.
Doesn't get much more technical than that. Solid gold advice from Paul Thompson. Paul, thank you so much for sharing the fundamental principles of Real Estate 101 with us today. For our listeners
Thanks
who
for having
would
me.
like to, it was our pleasure. If somebody wanted to reach out, collaborate with you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, the best place to reach out and find me is on my Instagram account. I'm at Paul David Thompson. I have the curse of a common name, so I use all three of them.
And that's Paul Thompson from Real Estate 101. Go check out his resources. And to all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. Remember, your first property is the hardest, but with the right foundation, you can build an empire. Until next time, everybody.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Very, very good. It was a good conversation. And I think one that everybody, including myself, is walking away with a lot of nuggets from that conversation. Until next time, everybody, keep your standards high and your vision clear. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.